Thank you very much for joining us. The New Patriotic Party team on the Presidential Transition Committee has given indications that the incoming administration may revise some of the decisions taken by the outgoing government. This comes just a day after President John Mahama appointed new bosses for the SHRAJ and the NCCE. The team of the NPP says it finds the decision by the president as a breach of an agreement with the transition team that such matters would be discussed with members. This was contained in a statement, and we'll go to our colleague Raymond Aku shortly, but we know that Mahama Yariga has been reacting to this on the Super Morning Show.
So I don't want to go public on my position as expressed during the meetings of the transition team, because I want to respect the position of the team that we restrict.
Can you at least confirm whether or not there was consultation between the two co-chairpersons?
First and foremost, this is my position on the matter. The transition is taking place within a legal framework. That's the whole essence of enacting the law on transition. Now, that legal framework also is set within a constitutional framework, and that is where the issue of hard or soft law, the letter of the law or the spirit of the law arises. And I take a firm position that, first and foremost, the Constitution is unequivocally clear on the mandate of a president. No matter what you say about it, lame duck or whatever, the Constitution is clear on the tenure of a president, which terminates at the moment when he hands over, I believe, on the 7th of January 2017. Within his tenure, the Constitution is also clear on the things that he can do and not do, and how he should do it. One of those is to appoint the chairperson of the NCCE and to appoint the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. It says he should do so in consultation with, I think, the Council of State. And the President has appointed the chairperson of the NCCE and has appointed the SHRAJ Commissioner in accordance with the Constitution. No law violated, no Constitution violated. It doesn't violate the Transition Act. It doesn't violate the Constitution. And so when you start talking about bad faith, I'm asking, bad faith about what?
Was there consultation as agreed?
Listen, the issue about consultation, as I said, and I don't want to go into that, because there was some discussion, and well, if you push me, I would say it, and if I get to the transition team, I would say, look, he pushed me on air, and it will look like I'm hiding something, so I had to speak. There was an issue about what Osafo Mafo said when we were beginning the work of the transition team, if you recall, when he said he had heard, but he didn't want to believe that government was recruiting workers into the services and agreements were being entered into, and etc. The next meeting, I raised the issue. I said, on what basis were you going public to ask us, question us in public what we do as a government? And I reminded him that we have up to the 7th of January to hand over. And so far as I know the law to be, we have a mandate to run this country. And I said, remember, on radio, when they said that people were violently attacking NDC supporters, everybody said, oh, President Mahama is still president until 7th of January. And so it is his duty to defend the citizens who are being attacked. And so President Mahama remains in office till the 7th and exercises those responsibilities that he's supposed to exercise as a president. So you can't sit here and say that President Mahama and his team cannot exercise power without consulting you. So we had that heated debate at the transition meeting, led by me, until I understand, oh, well, it's not as if by law you don't have the power to do so, but there are certain things that when we come, we have to work on, and so it'd be good to raise those issues. So yeah, if we feel that these are issues that we want you to be briefed and then to take over, fine, I don't have any objection to that. But that cannot extend to the president's exercise of his constitutional powers to make appointments as determined by
this actually
the
means there was no agreement. There was no agreement to consult each other before making such decisions.
No. There was agreement to engage.
So did you engage?
And I believe that engagement is in tiers. There are some basic issues over which really you yourself as an outgoing government will feel that on a matter like this, I need to engage. Is that okay? There are matters that really you feel that within the Constitution, it is clear-cut how this power is exercised. And the exercise of that power is protected by the Constitution. And so if you feel like engaging, you do. If you feel like, you can go ahead and exercise your powers as set out in the Constitution.
So there was no agreement to engage.
So the issue about bad faith being bandied around, I don't know. Lastly, you see, we are a country governed by the rule of law, and it is the law that we are looking out for. If we start looking for the spirit, we will find so many spirits.
Legal practitioner Kofi Bento says the move by government is inappropriate and will generate a lot of heat in the country.
We must not be this simplistic as Honorable is suggesting, that if we say the president must run the country, it means he can make key appointments at the last hour, which have the effect of binding the hands of the incoming president. Running the country, such as running the police and other things, are important. What we must appreciate is that no law is perfect, no law is complete enough, and no law can foresee the future and take care of everything. That is why we have a transition law. And that is why there was an agreement. Look, that is why conventions are necessary, mutual agreements are necessary.
Suggests that
and
there was no agreement. That's actually the suggestion.
I was not there with him, and I haven't taken an oath not to reveal anything, but I can say for a fact that there was an agreement between the parties to consult each other on issues such as these, which are of a critical.
How are you able to corroborate?
I don't have to tell you my sources, but I'm saying so. He should say they didn't do that.
For the benefit of our listeners,
not such as this.
So let me finish my point. So you see, I think they have breached at least a gentleman's agreement. The whole of the UK doesn't have a written constitution. They run that country on conventions. If we refuse to have these conventions rooted in good sense and fairness, and we try to explain things like this away, we'll make a wreck of our democracy. They must appreciate that these are key appointments which will not be affected or will not have their life within their term. So they erred, and I think they must not carry on in this fashion. It only will create heat.
Professor Ransford Jampo is the Director for European Studies, University of Ghana, and fellow at IEA. He joins us live on the line. Hello, Professor. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So there seems to be this back and forth about what the outgoing government is supposed to do in terms of making appointments and new recruitment as well, with just 16 days for it to hand over power. What does the Constitution say on this one?
Well, our outgoing president is expected to do anything a sitting president is supposed to do. There shouldn't be lacuna at any point in time in our constitutional democratic practice. So at all times, you should have a president in the best interest of Ghanaians. So you're supposed to do anything a president does. But within, around a transition period, or within a period of transition, I don't think there is anything explicitly stated within our Constitution or within our Presidential Transition Act that says that there are certain things the president can do. The most important thing is that he does whatever he wants to do within the transition period, much in consultation with the incoming president-elect and also members of his transition team. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything because the president is expected, the president and then members of his administration are expected to have submitted their handing over notes to the office of the administrator general 1 month before the election. So after submitting your handing over notes, sometimes, I mean, it technically suggests that you are done with doing most of the things that will have to be reported about. And so if you are done doing these things, and then there are other activities, other major policy decisions that you want to take, I mean, it is just good in the interest of cordial relations, in the interest of peaceful transition, that you involve or you just consult the other side that is about to take over. If you don't do that, you hurt relations. If you don't do that, you hurt the spirit of the transition. If you don't do that, then you create needless suspicion about your own intention. And if that happens, then the transition process would always be saddled with rancor, acrimony, and tension.
And would you say that at this time, this is what could be happening, looking at what the NPP is saying now? Because the NPP, the spokesperson on the team, is saying that, there's been a breach of faith, because prior to the appointment of the bosses for the NCC and SHRAJ, there had been an agreement that if there was going to be anything like that, the members on the presidential transition team should be aware.
I mean, it is a clear breach of faith. It is a clear breach of trust. And like I said, it also undermines the spirit that is supposed to govern the whole transition process. The whole transition process is, the whole essence of Transition Act is to ensure that we have a blueprint that helps in regulating a smooth transfer of power from one democratically elected leader to the other. Now, if you do some of these things and you breach the trust, the transfer, the whole transitional process will not be smooth, and it will suffer severe setbacks. And that is something that I believe President Mahama should have known, and then members of his transition team, they should have also properly advised him against some of these things. I mean, these officials, these positions have been vacant. I remember way back, those days when Anna Bosman resigned from the SHRAJ position, the acting position that she was serving. And then we also remember when Mrs. Charlotte Osei was taken from the NCC to the EC, and the positions have been vacant all this while. And so what was President Mahama doing all these periods that he knew he had to fill those vacant positions? Okay, it fits into a broader, a bigger problem that we that confront us as a nation, where politicians would always want to keep independent officials of state in acting positions, so that while they continue to act, then they will pander to the whims and caprices of politicians. I mean, once you are acting and you are looking forward to being confirmed substantively into your position, there is little that you can do than play into the gallery and then bootlicking your appointed master. And it is very bad. It undermines the effort and the call for institutions to be strengthened. And so I think this is unacceptable. 2 weeks or 15 days into your handing over time, I think that even if these appointments had to be made, I mean, nothing would have hurt, nobody would have felt bad, and it wouldn't have spoiled anything if members of the incoming transition team had been informed.
Professor, you also stated in this interview from the beginning that the president and the outgoing government still has the mandate to perform as a constitutional government. But then you also said that, the Constitution does not clearly state what the president is to do and is not supposed to do. Would you say there's some ambiguity in our Constitution then which ought to be clarified?
Beatrice, if we want to put every rule and legislation into our Constitution, we can't carry it. I don't know whether you have seen the American Constitution. It's a very small document. Britain operates what we call an unwritten Constitution. What do you mean by unwritten Constitution? It means it essentially has a lot of customs and conventions that are not really written down, but they regulate activities of human beings, they regulate activities of state. And so you cannot put everything within a constitution. Otherwise, I tell you, you can't. The document will be so voluminous that nobody can even carry it. But a constitution becomes workable, and governance becomes very easy when we are also guided and our activities are regulated by the spirit behind certain acts and laws that are passed, when we also uphold tried and tested customs and conventions and institutions. And this is the way to go. And so even if the Transition Act never stated anything in black and white, even if it is not encapsulated or written down in the Constitution regarding what the president can do and cannot do within a transition period. I mean, it should be, I don't want to say commonsensical, but it should be something that should be straightforward to us, that the transition period is a period of a kind of reconciliation, it's a period of a kind of handing over peacefully to another team. And in so doing, you need trust, you need confidence, and you need cooperation. Now, if matters like this are discussed and agreed on, that look, any other thing that you have to do, just at least keep us in the know, and then you reach it. I mean, my position is even that the MPP transition team didn't even have to demand that they be kept in the loop. It is just a matter of course that given that you are just handing over, you keep them informed about some of these things before you go ahead doing them. If you don't do that, you breach the trust, you breach the faith, you breach the confidence, and then you create room for needless suspicion. At the end of the day, the effect is that there will be lack of cooperation from both sides, and the transition process will be mad.
Finally, Doc, the NPP is obviously not happy with this. Is there a possibility, the NPP has indicated it may review some of these decisions. Is there a possibility that the new government could change these appointees?
I would appeal to the NPP. I mean, some of these appointments, once they are made, we should be mindful of the fact that the officials have security of tenure. And so once people, such officials have security of tenure, they get into power, and it is difficult to change them unless they have committed serious misdemeanor. And so once they've been appointed, they should be left alone to continue to serve in their capacity, to the capacity to which they've been appointed. You see, if you go that route, then we would be subjecting ourselves to needless litigation and court battles, which I think we don't have to go. We don't have to subject ourselves to that process. And so once they've been appointed, they should just leave them alone.
Thank you very much. We'll end it here. Professor Ransford Gyampo is a senior research fellow at the IEA. You're still watching News Desk on Joy News. Stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.